Most of us imagine the problem of plastic is out there, in the oceans, on beaches, in landfills. But what if one of the biggest sources of exposure wasn't the ocean, but your living room? What if the most intense dose you get all day comes not from a factory, but from your teacup? We now have scientific proof that unimaginably small plastic particles have crossed the barrier from the outside world into our bodies. They've been found in human blood, deep in our lungs, and even in placentas. The question is no longer if we're exposed. The question is, which exposures actually matter? And what are the few simple choices that dramatically lower your intake without turning your life upside down? Here is the single most important idea to grasp. You do not need to live a perfectly plastic-free life. That's impossible and stressful. The key is to understand that your total exposure isn't a flat line. It's a series of low-level background exposures punctuated by massive, avoidable spikes. A few specific habits and products can quietly dominate your intake, sometimes accounting for more than everything else combined. If you can identify and trim just those spikes, you can lower your overall burden with surprisingly little effort. It's not about perfection, it's about precision. For decades, this was an environmental issue. Now, it's a biological one. Recent studies have made this shift undeniable. One Dutch analysis found polymer particles circulating in the blood of 17 out of 22 healthy donors. A British study examining lung tissue from surgical patients found microplastics embedded deep inside 11 of the 13 samples. And perhaps most soberingly, researchers have identified plastic fragments in human placental tissue on both the maternal and fetal sides. This doesn't tell us what the health effects are, but it tells us the boundary has been breached. The story is no longer just out there, it is verifiably in here. So what are these things? Microplastics are fragments, fibers, and beads smaller than 5 millimeters. Nanoplastics are even smaller, so tiny they are invisible to the naked eye and can behave like molecules. They are created in two ways. Some are made small on purpose, like microbeads, but the vast majority come from the breakdown of larger items. Think of our world as constantly shedding. Every time you open a plastic package, pull on a fleece jacket, or drive your car, an invisible rain of particles is released. Your synthetic carpet sheds fibers when you walk on it. Your plastic cutting board releases microscopic flecks when you chop vegetables. And most significantly, your car's tires don't just wear down. They effectively sand themselves into a fine dust that washes into our water and blows through our air. The first and most surprising spike for many people is drinking water, specifically bottled water. A groundbreaking 2024 study using advanced laser imaging found that a typical 1-liter bottle of water can contain between 100,000 and 400,000 plastic particles, the vast majority being tiny nanoplastics that older methods couldn't even detect. The plastic doesn't just come from the water source. It sheds from the bottle itself and the cap, especially when squeezed or exposed to heat. But even that number can be dwarfed by a single daily habit. Researchers found that one premium plastic mesh tea bag steeped in hot water can release over 11 billion microplastics and 3 billion nanoplastics into a single cup. That one choice can deliver a particle load thousands of times greater than a liter of bottled water. A simple switch to loose-leaf tea or paper tea bags eliminates this spike entirely. The second major spike isn't from what we consume, but what we inhale. Our homes, offices, and cars can be microplastic hotspots. Synthetic materials are everywhere, in our clothing, carpets, upholstery, and curtains. Every movement stirs these fibers into the air where they mix with household dust. Studies modeling exposure suggest that a typical person might inhale or ingest tens of thousands of these particles every year, just from the dust in their own home. And then there's the tire dust. It's one of the single largest sources of microplastics in the environment globally. These tiny synthetic rubber particles get kicked up by traffic and can travel for miles on the wind. Researchers have found them in remote national parks and high-altitude mountain air. It's a stark reminder that even when you escape the city for fresh air, you're likely still breathing the legacy of the roads you took to get there. The third route is through our diet. And it's not just about processed foods. Shellfish like mussels and oysters are a known source because they are filter feeders, constantly processing seawater. Since we eat the whole organism, including its digestive tract, we consume the particles it has collected. Sea salt, harvested from that same water, also contains a measurable amount. But a more direct source is food preparation itself. Using a knife on a worn plastic cutting board can scrape off thousands of particles directly onto your meal. And heat is a powerful accelerator. Microwaving food in plastic containers, especially if they are old or scratched, dramatically increases the rate at which chemicals and particles can migrate into your food. The combination of heat, abrasion, and plastic is a recipe for a significant direct exposure spike. This brings us to the most important question. Is this actually harmful? The honest scientific answer is, we don't know for sure yet. The research is new and complex, but scientists have plausible reasons for concern. In laboratory cell cultures, plastic nanoparticles can induce inflammation and oxidative stress, which are underlying factors in many chronic diseases. There's also the Trojan horse theory. These particles can absorb other environmental toxins on their surface and transport them deep into tissues. A recent headline-making study from 2024 provided the most compelling signal to date. Researchers analyzing plaque removed from patients' carotid arteries found that over half contained measurable micro and nanoplastics. During the nearly 3-year follow-up, the patients with plastic in their arteries had a significantly higher rate of heart attack, stroke, or death. This is an observation, not proof of cause, but it is a powerful correlation that has focused the scientific community's attention like never before. So how do you cut the spikes? Think in terms of 3 simple levers. Lever 1 is your kitchen. Swap bottled water for tap water run through a high-quality filter. Reverse osmosis or certified ultrafiltration systems are designed to remove very small particles. For hot liquids, which accelerate shedding, use glass or stainless steel. That means no plastic electric kettles and swapping plastic mesh tea bags for loose leaf or paper. And critically, never microwave food in plastic. Transfer it to glass or ceramic first. Lever 2 is your air. Since indoor dust is a major carrier, ventilate your home regularly and use a vacuum with a HEPA filter, which is designed to trap microscopic particles. An air purifier with a HEPA filter in your bedroom or main living area can also capture airborne fibers continuously. And lever 3 is your laundry. Synthetic textiles shed hundreds of thousands of fibers per wash. You can reduce this by washing in colder water, running fuller loads, and using gentler cycles. Better yet, you can install an external lint filter on your washing machine's discharge hose or use a special laundry bag designed to capture microfibers. These simple laundry habits not only reduce your home's fiber count, but also lessen what enters our waterways. While these personal choices are empowering, it's crucial to hold the bigger perspective. The problem of plastic particles is systemic. Wastewater treatment plants, for example, are quite good at removing them from the water. But where do they go? Into the sewage sludge, which is often spread on agricultural land as fertilizer, creating a new pathway into our soil and air. Tire wear won't be solved by individual drivers, but by innovations in material science and road design that capture runoff. The most powerful solutions will come from redesigning products, materials, and infrastructure from the start. Your personal actions reduce your personal exposure. Systemic changes protect everyone. So here is the final reframe. Don't panic about living a plastic-free life. Instead, become a strategic editor of your own habits. You now know where the biggest spikes in exposure are likely to be. Bottled water, plastic tea bags, indoor dust from synthetic textiles, and heating food in plastic. By focusing your energy on just these few areas, you can achieve a massive reduction in your personal intake. It's about making small, repeatable moves that replace your biggest exposures with better defaults. If this idea first breakdown helped turn a complex worry into a few clear actions, consider subscribing to Knowledge Worth Sharing. We focus on the one core idea that helps you get sharper every single time. Thanks for watching.